Chicago, like most big cities, has its fair share of unsolved crime. And in most of these cases, somebody saw or heard something. It could be a suspicious person, a car driving away from the scene, or simply overhearing somebody talking about the case. With your help, we can put these criminals behind bars where they belong. Here in Chicago, we have too many unsolved murders. We need your help. In these cases, the police department is only as strong as the citizens that get involved. Oftentimes, all the detectives need is a tip, a start. Somebody to call in and say, I saw something. Any little information that you know can be the impetus to solve the entire case. On tonight's episode, we'll be taking a look at the case of 25-year-old Raymond Pryor IV. On April 15th, 2016, Raymond was with friends playing games after business hours at a neighborhood barbershop. Someone tried to pick a fight with Raymond, and when they took the argument outside, things quickly turned deadly. Here's his story.
Raymond was born in 1990. He was always a fun, happy baby. He was always giggling, laughing.
Raymond was very kind, very sweet, very helpful. If he loved you, he would protect you. He would do anything for you.
Raymond was more like my first son because I'm 5 years older than him, so our relationship was based on like big brother, little brother, but it was just always me and him.
Even as he grew, he remained that same, loving kid. He was always laughing and joking.
Everything he said to you, he made it a joke. He made everything okay. He made me comfortable. And this was him at 14. He made me comfortable.
You just don't get that out of other people. I looked up to him on that because he wasn't afraid to be himself.
He would lay on the floor with the boys, his brothers, and watch SpongeBob for hours. Watch SpongeBob and eat cereal and just joke with them.
The one cartoon he liked, but he insisted that it resulted into real life. And he was like, man, if you take this analogy and apply it to your life, it's a cartoon, but it makes so much sense.
Raymond set a positive example in that he was very concrete in his thinking. He either did or he did not.
With him, it was just more, everything was more clear cut. Things that would be embarrassing for a lot of other people, he tended to like take that and stare in their face and just like roll with it. Like some of the most embarrassing things that people probably wouldn't even share with other people, he took pride in it. Like you're not even being real if you can't take the good with the bad.
He's extremely smart. Raymond had the highest scores in his grammar school. He went on to high school, started his freshman year off, B+, A- student. So I'm very proud of the person that he was becoming and that he had been.
Raymond had one son. His name is Rayshawn. He's got a little more serious edge on him, but he is a real funny kid. He's real loving.
His son is really, really, really smart, and it's almost the exact opposite because it's like for Raymond, he didn't become real talkative until he got older. His son is very outspoken. He pays attention to everything. He's always speaking his mind. And it was like my brother loved that about him because he was different.
You can count on Raymond to have his son. He would take his son to school. He would pick him up. Christmas, he was ready. Birthdays, he's ready. He's that father that every wife, every girlfriend wants their child to have.
Raymond's a solid guy, solid kid, great father, great son, somebody who was easy to love, and somebody you would always like to be around.
On April 15th of 2016, 8 district officers responded to shots fired call at 6512 South on Western. They saw a large crowd outside of a barber shop. When they exited their vehicle, they saw an individual lying on the ground, motionless with multiple gunshot wounds. They later learned that the victim was Raymond Pryor, Jr.
In a heartbeat, tragedy can strike. An accident, a bad medical outcome, or a sudden death. If you or a loved one has been injured and someone else may be at fault, contact Craig Manarino and Amanda Brassfield today to discuss your legal options. For nearly 20 years, we have represented individuals and their families for injuries caused by carelessness and negligence. And now, we would like to help you. Call Craig and Amanda at 312-782-2573. Let us help you today.
I talked to Raymond 3 days leading up to his death. We were talking about grandbaby, schooling, and our plans to go down to his fiance's graduation.
We had a nice long talk. I want to say we talked for about an hour, non-stop, but it was just completely about our kids and trying to plan for the future and making plans and strides.
The thing I said to myself when I hung up the phone from him, I said, my baby's gonna die. His focus is not here. And when you're not here in the present, you can't protect yourself from the present. And so I get the call that evening saying that my son had been killed.
On April 15th of 2016, two officers heard what they thought to be loud reports or gunshots. There was also a 911 call that came over as gunshots in the area of 65th and Western.
That day, a friend of his called him and was having a birthday party. They had a party at the house and then they went up to the barbershop where everybody would kind of hang out after hours.
During the day, 6512 Southwestern is a barbershop. However, that evening, it was being utilized as a social club.
The gentleman who took Raymond's life, he came up to the barbershop and started an argument with Raymond, a confrontation with him.
It was an argument between two individuals, one being our victim, Raymond Pryor, and another unknown individual at this time.
By all accounts, everybody who was in the barbershop, anybody we talked to, we pretty much said Raymond just kind of dismissed the guy and said, hey, go on, you know. And so a little later on, the guy comes back.
There was just words exchanged, a little bit of shoving, and carried on to the street.
Raymond like, hey, you know, they stepped outside, argument continued. The guy pulled a gun and shot Raymond there in front of the barbershop.
The first responding officers were nearby, a block or two away, when they hear the shots. And they drive to the area where they believe the shots came from. And they were correct. That's where they ended up at 65th and Western, right in front of the barbershop. As they were responding, they were also told that a gray vehicle drove away eastbound on 65th Street at a high rate of speed. There was a lot of people out there who unfortunately weren't cooperating, but did say that, you know, the victim had been shot after an argument. And then at that time, the responding officers started, you know, trying to secure the scene, trying to secure witnesses, roping it off with tape, and awaited the arrival of investigating detectives.
My son had two good friends, and one of the two good friends called me after midnight. So when a young man calls you after midnight, even though it's a good friend of your son, you really want to know why are you calling. So he said something to the fact of, are you sitting down? And I said, boy, what do you want? He's like, Mom, Raymond's been shot. He said, he dead.
Well, I actually woke up, I had like 10 missed calls, and I don't know, I'm a worrier sometimes, so when I got that many calls in the middle of the night and I didn't hear them and I saw this one, I'm like, something's wrong. So I called her back, I'm like, what's wrong? It's like, your brother, he was shot. I'm like, is he okay? When she said he was killed, that took me. It's a big part of my life.
The phone rang. Raymond answered it. It was Raymond's mother.
She called me in the middle of the night, and when I realized who it was on the phone, I kind of felt like something might be wrong. And so I answered the phone, and she told me that Raymond had been shot dead.
He threw the phone down. We grabbed clothes. He told me to come on. We grabbed clothes and we went to the scene, and we just waited for the next 4 hours for someone to come and give us more information.
There were tape, the crime scene tape and lights. My son Raymond was laying there dead with a white sheet that was soaked in blood. I just sort of doubled over in pain, knot in my chest, hard to breathe.
I was totally confused, and didn't want to believe it. Thought I'd get out there and he'd be hurt, and there he was. Even then, I asked the police officer, I said, "Are you sure it's my son?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're sure." It's surreal, I wanted more than anything was just standing up.
On April 15th of 2016, 2 officers heard what they thought to be loud reports or gunshots. There was also a 911 call that came over as gunshots in the area of 65th and Western. As they responded to that area, they see a large crowd hanging out in front of 6512 Southwestern. They also see people pointing towards an individual who was lying on the ground who had been shot. They also see someone pointing towards the direction of 65th Street, saying that a gray vehicle drove at a fast rate of speed away from that area. As they get out of the car, they see the victim laying on the ground. He had multiple gunshot wounds.
There were 4 people taking care of my grandson. My son Raymond, his brother Deshaun, myself, and Rayshawn's mom. So when Raymond is murdered, it injures Deshaun. They've always been together. It injures the mom because that's her son's father. They killed my baby. There's really no words to justify someone killing someone else's baby.
There are witnesses there. It was a party, and there are a handful, if not more, people who saw the incident and can identify the offender. But as of yet, we have had no one come forward and say that they're willing to cooperate.
He didn't have any enemies. Everybody that came across him was genuinely, in good standings with him. He wasn't a person to have a lot of problems going on or, getting into any trouble. Just not into that lifestyle. So there was no reason for him to be killed early. You know what I mean? Like, some people are out here doing this, doing that. He wasn't at that point in his life. He was on a totally different page. So therefore, it's like a shocker,
Initially, when the investigating detectives were investigating this homicide, they believed it to be just a gang-related shooting between either rival gangs or an internal conflict of an incident or a dispute that started just there at the party. But as we got into the investigation, and we learned that this could have been more personal with the victim, and that he did have some disputes prior to this incident with one individual, and that individual is known to drive a gray car, and that's the description of the vehicle that is seen fleeing the scene.
A lot of just thinking it was unreal, and maybe this isn't happening, because this is a person that is, doesn't, everybody don't do no wrong. He's with you knowing a person that's silly, that makes people feel good, what happened? Are you sure? So just a lot of disbelief, not understanding, confusion.
At this time, we believe that the offender was alone and acted alone in this incident. He may or may not have been part of the party, but we know that it was personal between him and our victim.
He's very much missed by all of his brothers. He's got 3 brothers at home, and they all look up to him. His older brother even said, hey, an older brother's not supposed to look up to a younger brother. He said, but I did, And it was the truth. You know, Raymond was that kind of guy who, he was solid. You know, he'd be there for you. You know, he was always there for friends and family. Yep.
As the detectives arrived, the responding officers informed our detectives that some of the witnesses who wished to remain anonymous and didn't really want to stick around and give their accounts to what they saw, they did, however, tell the responding officers that there was a hat on the scene, a baseball type style hat, that they said belonged to the shooter. So that hat was recovered, and it has been sent to the Illinois State Police Lab for analysis, and we're waiting for the results on that. So in addition to the hat that was recovered, the officers investigating the homicide were able to recover 11 .40 caliber casings on the scene. So which would lead me back to say this was personal. You know, it was at close range, and he shot 11 times, at least 11 times, because we found 11 casings. What's interesting about that is that that gun, although not yet recovered, the casings match the scenes of 3 other incidents, 2 of which are homicides and 1 which is another shooting. And 2 of those 3 are not too far from the area of this homicide.
My son was getting married in 2016. I've been robbed of a daughter-in-law, of future grandchildren from him. So I have no joy.
Hi, I'm Lisette Guillen from Case Files Chicago, and we like to feature your case on our show. If you know of an unsolved homicide from the Chicago area, our team wants to help you close the case. Please visit our website at www.casefileschicago.com. While you're there, you can also view our database of unsolved murders that needs your assistance. Only by working together can we solve these crimes and help heal our city. Thank you, Chicago, and stay safe.
In a heartbeat, tragedy can strike. An accident, a bad medical outcome, or a sudden death. If you or a loved one has been injured and someone else may be at fault, contact Craig Manarino and Amanda Brassfield today to discuss your legal options. For nearly 20 years, we have represented individuals and their families for injuries caused by carelessness and negligence. And now, we would like to help you. Call Craig and Amanda at 312-782-2573. Let us help you today.
On April 15th of 2016, 8 district officers responded to shots fired call at 6512 South on Western. They saw a large crowd outside of a barbershop, and apparently a party was going on at that location. When they exited their vehicle, they saw an individual lying on the ground, motionless with multiple gunshot wounds. They later learned that the victim was Raymond Pryor, Jr.
It's been almost 2 years. I'm just now starting to get to a point where it's easier to think about him a lot. I've always said that I'll probably never be right again as far as me being emotionally or spiritually. I just feel like he took a piece of me with him because he was so much entwined with me that we shared everything.
There are so many people who know who killed Raymond. There were so many people there. They saw, they heard. So many of them say that they're a friend for Raymond, that they're a friend to Raymond. They have a Raymond t-shirt. They have Raymond's name on their Facebook statuses. They get together for a celebration remembering Raymond. Give my grandson Rayshawn justice. I know that he'll be better when he understands that the person who hurt his father is brought to justice. It would help me feel better knowing that the person who hurt my son can't hurt anybody else.
The situation in which he was killed in made it so wrong. I just feel like the people that were around him who considered to be good friends, I feel like them stepping forward and doing something about it would be the right thing to do, just because the bond that he had with them should automatically make you want to do something about it.
The way the criminal justice system is set up, and in order for us to secure charges, especially on a homicide, it's not what the detectives have developed as a theory. It's not what they believe or what they know, it's what can be proven. And at this point, with all the evidence that we have, we still need someone to come forward and give us their account, someone that was there, someone that saw, someone that can identify the offender.
Look at it as, you know, the person that you love the most, you know, who, if something like that happened to, you know, someone in your family, you want somebody to help you. You want some assistance. You want the person who did it to come to justice. And that's all I'm asking. If you have any information, to reach out to the police and you know, let them know what you know. Small things can become big things. Small things can crack a case. Just come out with it. You know, let us know what it is, no matter how small.
If someone wants to come forward anonymously, maybe they heard something. If they heard someone else tell them, I saw who did it, I know who did it, then tell us anonymously and we'll try to find this person and see if they will cooperate with us. So any bit of information would be helpful. But as I said, in order to get this charged and bring the offender to justice, we need someone who was there, who's going to cooperate and trust the police department and trust the detectives involved that we'll do the right thing and get this offender charged.
Please step forward, please share, please not be afraid, please put yourself in my shoes, my family's shoes, his mother's shoes. Please come forward and share.
So in this case, as in many, the detectives need help. They need witnesses to come forward, to tell us what they saw, what they heard. We feel that we're close on clearing this case, but we can't do it without the help of witnesses coming forward and cooperating with the detectives and the prosecutors. So I'm asking that if you've seen anything, you heard anything, please call Area Central Detective Division at 312-747-8380. You can ask for myself, Lieutenant Valdez, or you can ask for Detective Nick Evangelides.
Raymond was loved by his family and his friends. They deserve closure for this senseless crime. This killer is out there walking the streets. We need someone to come forward so we can put this shooter behind bars and keep our neighborhoods safe. The cases featured on tonight's episode remain unsolved, and we need your help. If you have any information on tonight's episode or any of the cases featured on the show, please give the detectives a call. We need our communities to come together so we can take back our streets and make our neighborhoods safe again.